What's up, everybody? Matt from Operational Risk Management, and this video is just giving you a little bit of insight on what we're working on right now and trying to kind of hype this up a little bit because we're excited about it. I'm definitely excited about it, and we're going to go over a few things with you, let you preview, if you will, our work in progress and kind of give you a little bit of background. I will forewarn you, I apologize if you can hear any fireworks in the background. It is, around the 4th, and, well, actually, it's the 3rd, about 40 minutes away from midnight. So, yes, we're going to hear fireworks in the background, but I apologize. Either way, what we're looking at here is our operational risk management reporting software. Essentially, I wanted a little bit of software that I could not really find when I was looking out and about on the interwebs. Information or a program or software where we can store all of our data, where we can, do our pass down logs digitally instead of the old way, keep track of all of our bans, all of our paperwork, all of our daily activity logs, and everything else in between. That way, whenever we have to search for something, we could do it lickety-split without having to worry about going through paperwork. So as of right now, like I said, this is a work in progress, so you'll have to bear with me a little bit. We just have the login where it automatically pops up our main menu here. We don't have any login information as of right now. Like I said, work in progress. I cannot talk tonight. Basically, what you're looking at here is our main menu. I understand the video might look a little weird because this window is actually sized down to 1024 by 768, mainly to work with some of our tough books. But here we have our active BOLO list. If one of our employees or one of our supervisors, managers, whatever you wish to call them, our officers, want to put something in the BOLO list, we have it right here. Go ahead and actually, did I click on it? There we go. It'd be helpful if I clicked on it. But if we wanted to add to the BOLO list, we can actually just add it from here. We can pick a date and put a time. Right now it is 23:23. Coincidentally enough, we have the ability to add a race, sex, estimated age, throw down a description and the reason why they're wanted. We also could put notes in here and then go ahead and submit the BOLO, and then it will pop up in our active BOLO list. Same thing with your pass down log. If we wanted to go in and add something to the pass down log, we can actually just select the date, go ahead and submit something into the field here, and then if it's submitted, it goes through the SQL and would show up in our pass down data field here, where it keeps track of everything that we have in the pass down log. That way we don't have that incident of, oh, I didn't know, because everything is now kept track of. There's no issue or concern of, did you go into the office? Did you look at the pass down log for today? So on and so forth. Now, in theory, everybody would have real time, access to that information. Excuse me. We do have other things on here like our daily activity report, or DARs, depending on if you do this or not. We have the ability to put in our client name. If we're on, a roving patrol out in the city or whatnot, we can actually throw that information in here as well. We can put in our tours of duty, or tour duties, the duty date, and then we have the ability to pick our incident time, our incident codes, which right now it's blank. What we did during this incident and time cleared. We can add that in, and of course it would pop down into our data field down here below. Same thing, it keeps track of everything for that day. At the end of the day, you can go ahead and hit save submit or save print to PDF if you really need to. Either way, that then goes into a database and all the supervisors have the ability to look at that. We also have a few things in here. I don't have a whole lot of this information set up yet. I originally started on this a while ago inside of Visual Studio, just running Windows Forms. I ended up not liking some of the functionality that it had. It is a little bit older, so I bumped it up to WPF, or Windows Presentation Form, or something like that. I can't remember what exactly it's called, but Now it's going a little bit more smoother, and I'm kind of liking the way it's coming out. But in theory, we'll have the ability to go through all of our vehicle inspections, keep a log of that. Same, like I said, with our daily activity report. Equipment logs, whether it's keys or if you're checking out a firearm from the armory or what have you. All that information would go into the equipment log. Supplemental reports, very important when it comes to the business. That'll give you the ability to add everything into your supplemental. If you have an incident like an accident, or if you have to go hands-on with somebody, whatever the case may be, then not only does it automatically spell check it for you, you can also submit it straight from the program, and it databases it, which is super great because then you can go ahead and search for it later. Property room, same thing. Anything that's lost and found turned into us, we could put it into the property room, categorize it, or catalog it rather, have an actual decent way to keep track of things, have the ability to say, okay, here's the deal, we received it on X date, so we're going to automatically step it out 90 days. After that 90-day time period, a flag will pop up and say, hey, you can now get rid of this item. Parking violations and parking permits, keeping track of all that information. If you have repeat offenders for parking violations, there's no arguing anymore. You now have a rapid ability to pull up that information, pull up, the plate number, the owner, all that information, and say, hey, no, here's the deal. You've been, cited X amount of times over X amount of days. This is the proof that we have. Same thing with parking permits, especially when you're getting around campuses and things of that nature. Parking permits are always a good thing to keep track of. That way you know who's coming and going, if they're temporary permits or if they're permanent permits, things like that. Unfortunately, profiling is a thing that we have to keep track of in this field. A lot of security companies don't like doing it, and I understand why. It's a lot of data to go through. However, it keeps the hot fire and the oil and everything from pouring on you. It's always a good thing to have in there, whether or not you want to do it or not. Like I said, the ability to search, report data, throwing in keywords and being able to actually search it, or throwing in wildcards, things like that, and being able to pull up all of that information. Case management. This is basically only information that pertains to the officer that's logged in. Case management, all the cases that they worked, all the supplemental reports that they have, their DARs, everything. They'll be able to view it. After it's submitted, there is no going back and changing it without, the approval of a supervisor. And that's another thing that I'll get to in a second with the supervisor menu. But everything will be cataloged. Everything will be available for that officer to view. It's also good if you have to go to court. There are times when security officers have to go to court. This allows you to pull up that information very rapidly without having to dig through filing cabinets and things like that. Property bans. Unfortunately, this field, you are going to have people that are, no longer permitted in a certain area, whether they're ex-employees or if they're just troublemakers, whatever the case may be. You're going to have issues with them. It's just a matter of time. You're going to have to ban them from the property. Instead of getting into an argument on whether or not they are allowed on the property or not, all their information goes into this database with a photo of them, so there's no, well, that's not me, so on and so forth. Supervisor menu. Supervisor menu is a lot, and I will say that. Basically, it gives you the ability to review everything that's in there. It gives you the ability to go through and sign off on officers, supplemental reports or their daily activity reports. Everything is contained, gives them the ability to sign off on it. If they reject it for a reason, whether you've worded something a way that it probably shouldn't have been because it's poor English or whatever, or if you didn't have enough information, they needed more information, whatever the case may be, you have the ability to, the supervisor has the ability to reject that report, send it back to the officer. The officer can then make a change to that report. It keeps track of all those changes in the background in case that question ever comes up of who's touched it and when. Then once that is fixed, it can be sent back to the supervisor and they can approve it. Another big thing that was, near and dear to me, so to say, is these two right here, SOP reference docs and emergency reference. Two things that everybody that works in law enforcement or in security, whatever the case may be, that is information that they need all the time. I've seen companies that have one big book in the office or up in corporate. I've also seen companies that have a lot of different little SOPs across, the sites that they have. It's not a bad idea. However, you're limiting the access to certain times or certain locations. Unfortunately, it makes things a little problematic, especially when you have to go through and update your information. Then you have to go through and do a lot of work that's really unnecessary. Here, all that information is updated directly in the program. It's also uploaded to the server, so whenever the officer opens this the next time, opens up that SOP reference documentation, all of the new, latest, and greatest information is there. You don't have to go through and print off 500 copies of something. You don't have to worry about an officer saying, well, I didn't have access to the information. Or I didn't know. That's another good one that I don't like hearing. Emergency reference. This is essentially all the emergency reference information that an officer would ever need while they're out in the field. This is emergency contact information for, the supervisors or your board of directors, board of chiefs, whatever you wish to call them, all the way down to local law enforcement, federal law enforcement, things like the U.S. Marshal Service, FBI, DHS, whatever you really need. You put that information into the emergency reference location, and then voila, all that information is there right then when you need it. On-shift roster, another thing that is kind of nice with this, the way we're laying this program out. Supervisors will be able to do the scheduling right through their software. So there is no playing around with Excel spreadsheets and Word documents and all the horrible ways that a security company can do scheduling. All that information is set up directly in the software. A supervisor can go through, do all the scheduling, hit the release button or the approve button, then every officer that has access to the app will have the ability to access their schedule. It also gives them an on-shift roster. Lets you know who's on shift for that time period that you're there, that day, whatever the case may be. Gives you more information, which is always, always a good thing. Like I said many times already, and along with the repeated phrase of, I've actually repeated a few phrases tonight, but anyhow, all this is a work in progress. It has taken some time, but it is also time well spent. If you are maybe running a security company or you're in the law enforcement field and you're kind of interested in going down the same route we're going down, or you wish to talk to us about possibly licensing the service in the future, whatever the case may be. Again, another phrase that I've used too many times in this video. Go ahead, keep track of these videos. We're going to release them as they come available whenever we hit certain milestones and things like that. Go ahead and contact us. We can give you some more information if you wish. And for now, that's about all we have. So you guys keep rocking and rolling. Stay safe out there. And we'll release more information as it comes available. Thanks for watching, guys.